When it comes to aliens, there's some things I just can't tell you. But what is true, and I'm actually being serious here, is that there's footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are. We can't explain how they moved, their trajectory. They did not have an easily explainable pattern.
Dueling Groks.
Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena, a term that was clarified in the National Defense Authorization Act, also known as the Schumer Amendment, when the NDAA was signed into law in December of 2023. The term appeared 47 times on the final document, despite having two major provisions stripped. This bill was the House and Senate's response to whistleblower David Grush's ICIG complaint.
Air Force veteran David Grush is exposing what he calls a top-secret military program that has reportedly found wreckage of fully intact UFOs. The government now calls them UAPs, or Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena. The Inspector General has called Grush's complaint urgent and credible.
So I see my friend Senator Rounds is on the floor and ask him to engage in a colloquy on an important set of provisions in the NDAA that deals with transparency, trust, and government oversight. The Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena Disclosure Act that he and I co-sponsored, and portions of which we will pass in the NDAA.
Regardless of your personal beliefs, the United States government and other governments around the world are taking UAP seriously. Let's take a listen to what Luis Elizondo has to say in regards to what classifies a UAP and how it is separated by something else you might observe in the sky.
What separates these from anything else that we have in our current inventory is quite simple. There's 5 observables that associate, when you look at something as a UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena, as being truly unique. That's instantaneous acceleration, hypersonic velocity, low observability, trans-medium travel, the ability to operate in multiple environments or domains, and last but not least, in the vernacular, would be anti-gravity. The ability to fly with no wings, control surfaces, no obvious signs of propulsion, even, frankly, not even a cockpit.
My name is Ryan Fobbs Graves, and I'm a former F-18 pilot with a decade of service in the U.S. Navy, including 2 deployments in Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Inherent Resolve. I have experienced advanced UAP firsthand, and I'm here to voice the concerns of more than 30 commercial aircrew and military veterans who have confided their similar encounters with me.
Commander Fravor, we have all seen the floating Tic Tac video that you engaged with on November 14th, 2004. Can you briefly talk about why you were off the coast of San Diego that day?
Yeah, we were at a workup with all the battle groups, so we integrate the ships with the carrier, the air wing with the carrier, and we start working. So we were doing an air-to-air defense to hone not only our skills, but those of the USS Princeton when they had been tracking them for 2 weeks. The problem was that there was never manned aircraft airborne when they were tracking them, and this was the first day, and unfortunately, we were the ones airborne and went and saw it.
Now, is it true that you saw, in your words, a 40-foot flying Tic Tac shaped object?
That's correct. Or for some people that can't know what a Tic Tac is, it's a giant flying propane tank.
Fair enough. Did this object come up on radar or interfere with your radar or the USS Princeton?
The Princeton tracked it, the Nimitz tracked it, the E-2 tracked it. We never saw it on our radars. Our fire control radars never picked it up. The other airplane that took the video did get it on a radar. As soon as it tried to lock it, it jammed the radar, spit the lock, and he rapidly switched over to the targeting pod, which you can do in the F-18.
From what you saw that day and what you've seen on video, did you see any source of propulsion from the flying object, including on any potential thermal scans from your aircraft?
No, there's none. There's no IR plume coming out, and Chad, who took the video, went through all the EO, which is black and white TV, and the IR modes, and there's no visible signs of propulsion. It's just sitting in space at 20,000 feet.
In your career, have you ever seen a propulsion system that creates no thermal exhaust?
No.
Can you describe how the aircraft maneuvered?
Abruptly, very determinate. It knew exactly what it was doing. It was aware of our presence, and it had acceleration rates. I mean, it went from 0 to matching our speed in no time at all.
Now, if the fastest plane on Earth was trying to do these maneuvers that you saw, would it be capable of doing that?
No, not even close.
And just to confirm, this object had no wings, correct?
No wings.
Now, was the aircraft that you were flying, was it armed?
No, never felt threatened at all.
If the aircraft was armed, do you believe that your aircraft or any aircraft in possession of the United States could have shot the Tic Tac down?
I'd say no. Just on the performance, it would have just left in a split second.
It looks like that we have a problem here that needs further investigation.
Yes.
In your belief, is this flying Tic Tac, I mean, is it capable of being the product of any other nation on the earth?
No, like I said earlier, I think it defies current material science and the ability to develop that much propulsion. And I know there's been some physicists have done calculations, which is beyond anything that we have.
These Tic Tac shaped objects were observed to drop from about 28,000 feet to sea level in 0.78 seconds. If you look at this, you can estimate the minimum acceleration, which comes about from the object would have accelerated halfway and then decelerated the other half of the way. That gives you a lower bound for the acceleration, which comes out to be around 5,000 Gs. 5,000 times the acceleration of gravity. No, people aren't going to survive this. Most equipment won't survive this. An F-35's wings will rip off at about 13 Gs.
Well, either the United States has an adversary here in this world that we don't know, or we really have some serious investigations to do. I really appreciate you being here. Is there anything else about the November 14th, 2004 incident that you think is important for this committee to know that you haven't been asked here today?
No, it's been said it's probably the most credible UFO sighting in history based on all the sensors that were tracking it, and then for us to get visual and to go against the naysayers that it's something on the screen or whatever. I mean, there's 4 sets of human eyeballs. We're all very credible. Of the 6 of us that were involved in the thing, including the video, every one of us is going to do 20 plus years in the military in very responsible positions. So I'd say the world needs to know that. It's not a joke.
As a cybersecurity professional, my leisure is spent on the fringe of human understanding, exploring what lies beyond our current knowledge. Among the myriad of topics that captivate me, the concept of the Fermi paradox stands out, presenting a profound ontological shock. It postulates the high probability of extraterrestrial life, given the vast number of stars and potentially habitable planets discovered in the universe. Subsequent research confirms the existence of planets within their solar system's habitable zones, capable of supporting liquid water. This brings us to ponder, why do societal biases often blind us to new truths? Historically, practices such as hand washing before surgery weren't standard, dismissed until the discovery of bacteria and viruses. Similar skepticism was directed at the heliocentric model of our solar system. These examples reflect our tendency to cling to the established beliefs, often overlooking emerging truths. Our history is riddled with instances where groundbreaking suggestions were met with resistance, from the rejection of the germ theory to the controversy over the Earth's orbit. These are moments that challenge our ontological foundations, the very essence of what we accept as reality, and highlight our susceptibility to observational bias. This bias extends to the investigation of unidentified anomalous phenomena, where research reveals a polarized landscape of evidence. As we piece together the data, a reoccurring narrative emerges: the United States retrieval of non-terrestrial crafts and biological materials as disclosed by David Grush and preceding whistleblowers. This narrative aligns with the Fermi paradox and the Drake equation, which argue for the existence of extraterrestrial life. Whether extinct or alive, somewhere in the cosmos, the acknowledgement of UAPs visiting Earth further reinforces this hypothesis, suggesting we may not be alone in the universe.
We have from the ATIP program, we have the 5 observables, 5 plus 1 really.
Well, 10 years ago, probably the Schumer Amendment would have been viewed as UAP UFO disclosure. And we want to get disclosure, but we want to get it through a controlled process. We want to get it in a way that doesn't create this societal collapse.
So how would we make sense of this and the recent reporting around UFOs or UAPs? Is this a soft launch of clear awareness of extraterrestrial life, but maybe we don't want to tell the public everything so as to roll it out slowly and give them time to process it?
I mean, it's such a great question, Jessica, and it's so hard to answer that. You know, I'm a reporter, and so whenever I get some good information that I think is important, I'll put it out there, but I don't really know if there's some kind of orchestrated campaign going on behind the scenes. It's hard for me to comment on that. And I also think, you know, the thing about extraterrestrial life, that's such a loaded term. I mean, if we have a craft that is not of non-human origin, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's some extraterrestrial aliens that have come here and crashed it or dropped it here. Or I think the actual origin of it could be much more complicated than that.
And then the third piece is, what do we want to do about this problem? Well, we've got to actually address the scientific, technical, ethical, legal, religious aspects of this, and more people need to be involved if we're going to make that progress. You know, we've had phase one. We've completed phase one. I would argue phase one ends when we get Schumer. And so it says, you know, demonstrate UAP existence by, you know, January of 24. And you're like, oh, that's crazy. It's never going to happen. It's probably won't happen in my lifetime. I'm saying that already happened. The Gang of Eight just said that we need this legislation and they don't have proper oversight.